Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video I am completing another graphite drawing. However, I came across a problem when starting this drawing, so I thought I might as well take the opportunity to experiment a little and make a video on it. So when starting out this drawing I needed to get a flat black base for this penguin's head, and although it's hard to see here, it turned out to be quite a mess. I just went in a bit too hard with my Pitt matte pencils, and as a result I damaged the paper's surface, and when it reflected the light it was very obvious. So I decided to start over, but not before doing a bit of experimentation to see if there were any better alternatives for getting my graphite to be black. So whilst the drawing time lapse continues, you will see me experimenting over on the right hand side, and I did this on the same paper as the first attempt as to not waste paper. So the first thing I tried was a charcoal pencil that I had, and here I'm just seeing if it was going to be an issue getting into the tight areas, but it turned out to handle them quite well, although the edges were slightly rougher than the graphite that I was used to. That being said, this seemed to get the darkest value out of all the methods I tried. However, the real problem was using a fixative, as this altered the values of the charcoal and graphite, which definitely wasn't something I wanted. The second method I tried was using graphite powder and cotton wool, which already poses a problem in that this isn't able to get into any small areas with clean lines. But I wanted to try it out anyway, as I thought this could possibly work for backgrounds in future drawings. However, I found it quite difficult to build up the value with this powder, plus it was also very reflective. The third method was the same as the last, but instead I decided to create my own powder by sanding down a 9B graphite crayon. My thinking was that this might give me a darker value and hopefully something a little less reflective. Now it definitely got darker faster, but the overall finish value was only slightly darker, and it was still just as reflective. So, moving on to the next method, whilst I was on Jackson's website, I came across these Faber Castell Aquarelle pencils, which are a water-soluble graphite, so I thought I'd at least give them a try, but I honestly wasn't expecting much from these. They do go up to an 8B, so I went straight in with the 8B, and at first it felt quite waxy and a little softer than usual. And before adding water, it seemed to be just as dark and as reflective as your normal 8B pencil would be. But after using a brush with a bit of water on top, things changed completely. It got a lot darker, and once it had dried it almost had a matte finish. There was still a slight sheen to it, but I was extremely impressed with the outcome. Now I was happy to go on and use these in the drawing, but there was still one more method I wanted to try out. So for the last method I brought back my graphite powder that I made from the 9B pencil, and then got some Gamsol, which is mineral spirits most commonly used in oil painting. And after struggling with the childproof cap, I used a pipette to slowly add the Gamsol until I got a fairly watery consistency. Now when using Gamsol it is toxic, so you need to be in a well ventilated area, and you probably want to keep it off your hands, although Gamsol seems to be the safer option when it comes to solvents on the market. And with a good consistency, I essentially had a graphite paint that I could paint straight onto my paper. Initially when painting it on, it felt super smooth and was given a nice dark value similar to that of the water-soluble graphite pencils. However, once it dried, there seemed to be a thickness to the paint that showed up the brush strokes. Now I reckon I could have added a bit more Gamsol and got things to be a lot more smooth, but it wasn't giving me a darker value than the Aquarelle pencils, so for me it was an obvious choice on what to use. The water soluble pencils are so simple to use and were perfect for what I was wanting. And here I'm just giving you a slightly better view on the water soluble pencils. So if you are wanting to achieve some super dark values without damaging the paper and without the reflectiveness, make sure to get yourself some of these pencils. Like always, all of the supplies I use in this video will be listed in the description. Now I'm going to leave you with the rest of the time lapse. If you have learnt something or enjoyed this video, please leave a like or subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching.